Hey everyone, so this video is going to teach you all the basics and exactly what you need to do to get into real estate investing, from saving up to your down payment, actually getting a loan and finding some tenants. So we'll just jump straight into the video. Hit like before you do, pretty please. We'll get started here now. First off, what is real estate investing? Well, the real estate investing that I'm going to be talking about in this video is pretty much using a home loan to leverage your position by buying a property, pretty much getting a tenant or someone else to live in there for you and hopefully cover your mortgage payments for the next, say, 15 or 30 years, and maybe even make you a bit of profit on top. Eventually, once the home's paid out, it's pretty much paid out for free by the people living in there. That's what we're going to get into today, and how exactly you can get started in that kind of real estate investing. And I'm just going to be honest here with you. Some of you guys might have the question, how am I going to get started in real estate with no money or not good credit or no credit at all? And I guess the real answer for you is you're not going to. You do have to have a credit score built up, and you do have to have a decent sized down payment saved up. But don't worry, we'll go over all of that in the video and how exactly you can get that sorted. The number one would 100% be to build your credit score and improve your credit. Now, if you're young like me, you probably have little, if not no experience at all with credit. And I'm going to show you a few different ways, I guess, how you can build your credit score. So that way, when you go and, apply a big size home loan with a bank, they'll see that you have some prior experience with credit, and you actually have a credit score for them to look at, which is better than you going to a bank with no previous experience with credit at all. They're probably less likely to lend out money to someone that's had no credit experience at all prior to someone that has a perfect credit score. But if you're young like me, the best way that you are going to build a credit score is open a credit card. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, hold on, the credit cards have very high interest and I don't want to get trapped with a credit card. And yes, if you don't know what you're doing with a credit card, it is very easy to get trapped. But if you use a credit card responsibly, you will not ever have to pay a cent of interest. And I guess if a credit card's used responsibly, it can be a great tool to improve your credit score. There's like 800 cars like driving past every second. I don't know why. But say opening a credit card 6 to 12 months before you actually are seriously looking to apply for a home loan is the best. That's what I've done. About 6 months prior, before even applying, I opened a credit card. Yes, you're going to more than likely get an annual fee on your credit card, but there are some with no annual fees. If you pay back the closing balance by the repayment due date, you aren't going to get charged a cent of interest. So pretty much this is how I've been using my credit card. I just simply use it as a debit card. I only purchase things that I was meant to purchase anyway. Pay off the full closing balance at the end of the month. Pay off the full closing balance at the end of the month. You aren't going to get charged a cent of interest, and it simply just works as a debit card. You know, it shows that you can responsibly manage and handle credit, and that's definitely going to build your credit score over time, as long as you make the repayment. Plus, I guess another benefit of opening a credit card is you do get some that accumulate, frequent flyer points and I guess rewards points that you can spend elsewhere. The points that you earn are going to outweigh the annual card fee each year. A lot of them also have a bunch of, sign up bonuses where if you sign up and say meet these criteria within this certain time frame, you get a large amount of bonus points, say 50,000 bonus points or something like that. A credit card is a very handy tool, just as long as you use it responsibly. If you don't think that you can use one responsibly, then you're probably not going to be responsible enough to own a home and have a home loan, I'm going to be honest. Okay, so after you've got a good credit score, or you've managed to build up a bit of a credit score and a credit history, number two would be save money and live frugally. Most lenders nowadays are probably wanting to see at least 10% of a down payment for a home. I know here, especially in Australia, probably varies slightly depending where you're located, but in Australia, you need at least 10% before a lender's going to even look at loaning you any money. Ideally, you're looking at 20%, because if you have 20% or greater of a down payment of the property, that means you're not going to have to take out lender's mortgage insurance. Now, we'll get to what lender's mortgage insurance is, but just before we do, we'll look at, what is 20% down payment for a property's worth or something like that. Basically, a down payment of 20% would be, say the property that you're buying is 100,000, you need to put down 20% of that purchase cost out of your own money. So that would be $20,000. Anything under that 20%, you're going to have to take out lender's mortgage insurance more than likely. Lender's mortgage insurance is pretty much just an insurance policy that a bank may force you to take out before giving you the loan, just to make sure that if you default on your repayments, or you can't service a loan due to, I guess, that portion being so highly leveraged, that they're going to be able to recoup their losses and they're going to get a payout if you don't make your repayment. But yes, you'll pretty much need to live frugally, save as much money as you can, reduce your expenses to save up for a down payment. And I've got actually a video on how you can save a lot of money fast when you're young. I'll put that right here now for you to watch. But pretty much covering that video, it's pay off any high interest debts, reduce your expenses, increase your income. Try and make as much money as you can, and be careful with tax write-offs and tax deductions, because they're more, if you've got a history of income, they're going to look at your income after taxes and after tax deductions. So be careful with that, because they're going to have a look at not what you make on paper, but what you have a look after you've done all your tax deductions. So just be mindful of that. Okay, so now that you've got some kind of credit history and you've saved enough for a down payment, you're now going to want to talk to lenders to get an application going, talk to some banks to get an application going before you have a look at any houses or any properties. Because I'm going to be honest with you, getting pre-approved for a loan and getting a full approval for a loan is going to be the most lengthy process. Banks obviously want to make sure that they're going to make money off of you, right? So they are looking at a whole bunch of things. They'll look at your full income and expenses, a few bank statements, and every kind of line of credit that you currently have open and things like that. So they're going to be very careful before obviously lending you this large amount of money. So it is going to be the most, I guess, time-consuming and lengthy process. And you're going to want to have a rough idea of how much you can borrow before you start looking at properties, because you may think, oh, I'm going to go buy this property for 500,000. If a lender comes back and tells you, you can only borrow, say, 300,000, then you're not going to be looking in that price range, because it's just not reasonable for you. So before even looking at any properties, seriously, I would suggest getting pre-approval from a lender. You can shop around through a bunch of lenders as well. Say, talk to the first lender, get some pre-approval, and they'll tell you, what exact rate they can offer you and what terms. Then you can say, take that offer to another lender and see if they can beat that. And you can continue to shop around and get the lowest rate possible on your home loan, because the lowest interest rate you're going to have to pay, it's going to be more money for you at the end of the day. So third step is talk to a few lenders to get pre-approval as soon as possible. And now the fourth step, I cannot stress this enough, take your time in looking for the right property. A lot of people, they jump into the first house they see and say, yeah, this is 100% right for me. But a lot of the times they could end up overpaying, or they tend to, any repairs or any massive structural damage or something like that, they tend to oversee. Just take your time and find the right opportunity for you, because eventually the perfect opportunity is going to present itself, where it's just at the exact right price and, I guess, at the exact right level that you want it to be. Take your time to find the best deal when a property that doesn't need a lot of work or needs no work at all. If it does need work, hopefully only, say, some slight cosmetic renovations, because they're the ones that are going to cost the least amount and they're going to increase the property's value the most. You don't want to be, say, buying your first investment property and doing massive structural repairs, like the foundations all crumbling or something like that. That's the last thing that you want to do when buying your first property. And I guess that's exactly what I did with my first investment property. The one that I purchased was at a great price, and it didn't really need anything done. Just a day or two of us going in and doing some clean-up work. But that's it. It was the perfect price, and I am enjoying that. Okay, now that you've built some credit history, you've saved up enough for your down payment, you've been talking to some lenders, and you've been looking at some properties, and you've found the right property for you, I would encourage you to get in contact with some tradespeople and do some appropriate inspections. You're going to want to get some specialists to go and see the property that actually know what they're talking about, right? You're going to want to say, get a plumber in there to have a look at all the plumbing to see if it's right. Get a builder in there to do a building inspection. And yes, a lot of the time, yeah, you're going to have to pay costs up front for this, but it's definitely going to be worth it, because if a builder comes back and finds, hold on, the whole foundation's just destroyed, that's going to save you a lot of money in the long term, because you can just say back out of that property, because paying a few $100s up front for the builder to go and look at it is definitely going to save you, thousands of dollars in repairs over time. A lot of the time as well, I don't know what it is, but with dads, they know a lot of these tradespeople. My dad knew a lot of these guys, so I could get a lot of these people to come and have a look at it for me for a lot cheaper than, I guess, if I didn't. So that was really handy. So if you know anyone, or your, say, family members know anyone that you can get in contact with to do these kind of things, definitely get them to do that, because it will be cheaper for you. And for example, I had a builder that my dad knew go in and do a building inspection for me before I purchased my property. That way we knew everything that was wrong. Was only a few small details that were wrong, but there was one thing where the hot water cylinder was 15 years old, so he definitely encouraged that we should get someone to have a look at that. And my dad, again, knew a great plumber that we could get in for a cheap price, so we got him to go and have a look at the hot water cylinder, because it was 15 years old. He had a look at it, and surprisingly, it's still good to go. It still has another few years in it, so we don't have to replace that, luckily. But definitely good to check these kind of things and make sure, because if you had I would have had no idea that the hot water cylinder is 15 years old, and no idea that it could have potentially blown up at any minute. So it's always good to check these kind of things. And now that you've done all these kind of things, you're up to the final step here. You can now find a tenant, get a tenant moved in to start paying your mortgage off for you. Now, obviously, you can either do this yourself, or you can get some property management personal team to do this for you. Now, obviously, there's some pros and cons for both. If you go private, the con is you have to manage this all yourself, and it can be very time consuming, but it is going to save you a few dollars. I decided to go with a property manager to just manage the property for me, because I don't have a lot of time. I work a full-time job casually as well, and also do these YouTube videos, so I don't have a lot of free time on my hands. So I thought paying that little bit, taking a little bit of my profit away to a property manager, is going to be better for me, because it's just going to be, I guess, more time efficient, because this kind of thing, finding a tenant, reading over a bunch of applications, is going to take you a lot of time, and as well as managing the property will also take you a lot of time. So I decided that, I'm just going to give it to a property manager to manage for me. Typically, I know in my area they charge anywhere between 8% and 12% of the rent a week. Obviously, I imagine that's almost definitely going to differ to where you are, but obviously there's a few cons and benefits for both. But as long as you follow all those steps, you can 100% get started in real estate investing. You'll have an investment property that hopefully cash flows positively for you, as well as paying off your mortgage. That way, in 15 years' time or so, you own that property outright, and you would have built significant wealth over that time, and you're going to get rich eventually, hopefully. So if you guys like the video, obviously please leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more of my content. And that's all I have today for you guys. You have a good one.